the team of the convention is being passed, and the speaker of the convention is also being considered. We are looking at possible names, and so we hope to inform members of the bar on those specific issues. So the team is being dispatched to these countries, like Lima and Bonn, to do further assessment on the question of accommodation and to see what role they can play in making us hold a very successful convention. We will make sure that team will be dispatched this week, led by the chair of the steering committee and the chair of the social committee of the bar to do some assessment and report to the leadership. At this time, we will be able to decide on those specific issues that matter to the convention. The convention promises to be great, and that's why we come to announce several decisions to members of the bar. So, as the August 23, 2024 National Executive Council meeting of the bar, several decisions were made. So, we like to announce here that these have been approved that National Executive Council is covered in expenditure from the convention. And so, that will be 3 local members balance for the Chief Justice and members of the Supreme Court. And then you have 250 balance for judges, 200 balance for councillors at law, 175 balance for attorneys, 145 balance for law schools. Those are the fees the National Executive Council has approved, and we wish to leave those fees to members of the bar so that they can begin the production together to pay those fees, because the council has also accepted that we have to know the planning process for those conventions, because we always have problems with accommodation, and so that's the reason why we have dispatched the very competent assessment team. So some members of the National Executive Council will go up there in Bata, Saturday, to look at hotel room accommodation to see what can be done, because nobody will have these conventions, these events of the bar outside the movement. These events are intended to boost the local economy of those areas. So, for instance, catering, we are going to the National Executive Council approved that there will be a date for the local people's convention to see what they can do to provide people services. So, it is going to be very great. And so, we, as a leadership and back concerned, we will take the concerns of members of the bar in the last convention. It was big rowdy, and so we want to address. That's why we are working ahead of time to make sure that all problems can be solved, sorted out, and addressed, so that we can have a very successful convention. You may also be aware about that these conventions are elected conventions.
Okay.
The leadership of Professor Winnie will be running out also, and so the new leadership will be elected.
So it is going to be great. I mean, the euphoria, the exuberance, we have people that will be campaigning. The national president of the bar will very shortly announce the election committee that will be doing some work. And so it promises to be great. And so a lot more is going to be put in this process. And that's the reason why the National Executive Council itself is part of this planning process to ensure that the convention is successful.
Okay. Yes, you want to outline some of the activities that normally happen during the convention?
Well, normally,
you mentioned that this one is an elective one, that means election will take place. But besides that, what are other activities about the convention?
The convention, if you may, is the highest organ of the Bar Association.
Okay.
We meet there to review activities, to adopt resolutions, to affect our rule of program.
Okay.
And so we take speeches from some of our guest attendants, such as the Chief Justice, and we have also the keynote speaker who will be delivering a keynote address. I told you that name is under consideration. We want to bring a speaker that will be fiery, that will contribute, to the practice of law in his or her own way, and that name is under consideration. And like I said, we will have election for the 4 executive officers of the bar: the national president, national vice president, national secretary general, and national treasurer. Of course, Adewale is here. She has been very pivotal in the amendment process of the Constitution, so she will speak to those amendments that have been properly adopted at the last convention of the bar. And so, before we need to have election for National Executive Council, 10 members need to be elected at the convention. Now, with the amendment of our Constitution, the presidents of the local county bars will not constitute the National Executive Council of the bar. So we will not have election at the pending convention for members of the National Executive Council besides the full executive officers of the bar. So it promises to be exciting, and so we are encouraging members of the bar to take heed to what we are about to say here, what we've said about the fees approved by the leadership of the bar, so that they can be able to pay their fees, because the National Executive Council has also adopted that it's going to be first come, first served basis, because normally we have a lot of confusion over accommodation whenever we hold these events outside Monrovia. So we are quite concerned about those issues, those matters, and we think that the leadership of the bar is going to be quite involved with that, so that the issues can be sorted out, so that when we get to whether Banga or Ganta, everything will be in place, rooms will be allotted to people who have paid their convention fees, and all the confusion would have been minimized.
That is great. So what happens to maybe a justice, a judge, a counselor, attorney, or law student who doesn't pay the fees or show up at the convention?
Well, it is mandated by the Constitution of the LMBA that once you are in good standing, I will speak to that. Once you are in good standing with the bar, you are obligated, you are mandated to participate in the event. And so it could be that you could risk having your lessons rented to you by the leadership of the bar. That's one aspect of in good standing. Except when you have written a valid excuse, and that excuse is rendered by the national leadership of the bar, then of course it can be understandable that you are absent from the event. Anything less than that, you are mandated. Whether you are the Chief Justice, whether you are a member of the bench, whether you are judges of court of records, whether you are councillors and attorneys, you are mandated, consistent with the constitution of the bar, to participate in all events of the bar. So it's just a good thing once you are in a bailiwick of the country, meaning once you are in a country, you must participate in a convention once you are in good standing. So that's why we encourage our members who have been quite supportive to the bar over the years that the 2024 convention will be a great convention. Let us go there inter-eyed. We have so many challenges that bedevil our rule of law program. We must continue to talk about that. The issues around, performance of the judiciary, defects in the judiciary, the bar association, what role the bar has to play in enhancing our rule of law program. What do we need to do? Do we need to reassess our entire rule of law program and come out with a pragmatic intervention or interventions to this problem? So we have a lot on our plate. The legal profession is an evolutionary profession, it's a progressive profession, so nothing static. So things are evolving over a period of time, and so we would like our members to come to these events so that we can interact. Speeches will be made. Of course, like we normally say, our emblematic feature of our events is a continuing legal education, because the bar is concerned about building the capacity of its membership. So we again will be inviting experts, legal luminaries to do a presentation under the leadership of Councillor Benedict Sano, who chairs the Continuing Legal Education Committee. And so don't miss out. The best thing to do is to come to participate in the convention. Beside the election that will be held, you can also get knowledge that will be imparted by competent members of the bar who have the expertise to deliver on different topical matters.
Okay. Councillor Tekula, you want to make comment on the convention as you also bring us through maybe the amendment issue what led to some of the changes in the bar's constitution?
Well, in every institution, like the General Secretary has said, there are room for some kind of dynamics. I mean, you have ever-changing circumstances. At the time the Constitution was prepared many years ago, the circumstances were different. Now in 2024, circumstances have changed, and all we're trying to do is to roll with the change as it evolve over time. So predicated upon that, there was an extraordinary convention held during our annual assembly in March of this year. And at that extraordinary convention, the bar passed certain amendments to the Constitution, which are not many, they're just 7.
Okay.
And I will just kind of skim through them,
Okay.
and then we can discuss those that you think are not too clear. So the first is okay. Councillor Obama has already talked about people being moral standing financially and possessing valid license will be eligible to participate in events and vote
Okay.
at our elections in November. The second is quorum to transact any business for the bar. The convention agreed that not less than 150 members should be present, and at that convention, all decisions made will be binding on all members.
Okay.
And then he talked about the 15 duly elected county bar presidents. Okay, so for that is why the bar is called the national bar. Okay, so we have 15 counties, and each county has a structure similar to what we have at the national bar. So you have each county having a bar, and then we have the national bar. Now, what have been happening for council members? Normally, you have 5 standing leaders of the bar. The leadership constituted 5 persons. That's the national president, the national vice president, the national general secretary, and the national treasurer, and the immediate past president.
Okay.
Now, the immediate past president is not voted for. He becomes a member of the council by virtue of his position of having been the immediate past president.
Okay.
Now, the other 15 members of the council, they actually 10. They used to be 10, and they were actually voted for from the floor. So sometimes, most times, they were asked to apply, and you find that 4 or 5 persons will apply. So as a result, it's I mean we gave them white ballots, and sometimes most times what had normally happened was that the rest of the members had to be vetted from the floor. I mean, somebody would just throw it out, and
Mhm.
okay, Adi wait its name out. Okay, yes, Adi becomes a part of the council. But we thought that there was some kind of, I won't call it a problem, but something that needed to be rectified. Yeah. So you find Ade. Okay, Ade is a member of the Lofa Bar. Yeah, but she's on the council by virtue of her name. She doesn't report to anybody. I mean, Ade just goes to meetings, and they make decisions on behalf of the bar, and she has nobody to report to. So the issue came out when members started to complain. And then that was why the suggestion came out. So, look, you know what? We have 15 county bars. Before elections, before the general elections in November, most bar have the elections. Okay. So the proposal came out, okay, let's have these 15 county bar members as members of the National Executive Council. So what that means that by virtue of the fact that you are elected by your people in your county to be their president, you automatically, beginning November 2024, you automatically become a part of the National Executive Council.
Okay.
Now, quorum, it was another issue of as to how many persons are going to constitute a quorum for National Executive Council meetings, and where they will make major decisions on behalf of all of us. So, being that they've been elevated, instead of 15, they are now 20, we decided to use a simple majority. A simple majority of 14 persons will
Okay.
be clothed with the authority to make decisions on behalf of the bar, and those decisions will be binding. Now, each council member, by default, each county bar president on the National Executive Council shall also serve for 3 years and no more. Okay, they shall remain at, so once you are your county bar president, you are a member of the National Executive Council.
Mm.
Now, being that sometimes lawyers are very busy people, we we understood that sometimes you may not be available. So we propose that you send a designee, either your principal deputy or somebody decided amongst you as your county leadership to be able to represent your county at any executive council function. Now, what happens when a death, some kind of vacancy is created, such as
Yeah.
death, such as resignation, such as incapacity, or for any other reason, all of a sudden John Brown is unable to carry out his functions in the National Executive Council. For the national president,
Mhm.
what's going to happen is that the vice president, the national vice president, is going to ascend to the position of president in the event that the president, the national president proper, is unable to continue carrying out her or his functions as president. And then that seat, for the seat of the national vice president, the executive council will appoint someone who will act in that state. So that goes for the national vice president, the national general secretary, and the national treasurer.
Okay.
Now, for county bars, if at all there's a vacancy created by the county bars, then each county bar vacancy will be filled either by the immediate deputy, meaning the president of that county bar, or a designee, whoever they decide to make their representative at the National Executive Council. Now, finally, our constitution, there was a lot of back and forth on this during the extraordinary session where we talk about amendments. When should the constitution be up for amendment or for review? And we finally agreed that when the peculiar circumstances demand it, the constitution is going to be up for review. So there was a committee that was set up. So I will be remiss if I don't
Mhm.
give respect to my bosses. So Councillor Milton D. Taylor was the chairperson of this committee. Councillor J. Augustine Toole is the co-chairperson. And our advisor is His Honor Usman J. Fekai, and your humble servant. So we were the four persons that headed this endeavor, and we're happy to say we've come up to these amendments for our constitution, and we are grateful to all the members of the bar at that extraordinary convention who were very supportive. I mean, they were very engaging, and we were able to come up with these amendments in the interest of our bar.
Have they been approved?
Yeah.
Yes,
adopted.
they have been approved. The SG is here, so he will answer that. question.
Yes. So,
Adopted
okay.
at the convention. And so we just want to, on behalf of the national leadership of the bar, commend the committee just announced by my colleague here for doing a brilliant work. And of course, their work was acknowledged at the convention of the bar. We'd like to thank them. So, like I said to you, things are evolving in the bar. And so, whenever it is necessary, we will revert to look at the constitution, look at relevant provisions to see what can be done, to make it suitable, make it more contemporary, looking at other bar associations around the world. So we are happy now that we have those amendments. I think it's one major achievement of this administration. We've been talking about constitutional amendment over the years, and so this year we have made it practical. And so we'd like to commend all our colleagues who serve on the review committee of the Constitution, and the adoption was properly done at the extraordinary convention of the bar. Having said that, Marka, we'd like to look at some training issues in the bar.
Mhm.
And so the bar is overly preoccupied with a lot of national issues. As we speak, the LMBA, or the national president of the bar, chairs the civilian complaint review board of both the immigration and the police. And so that institution, that committee has been working very tirelessly under the leadership of Councillor Sylvester Doboreni, national president of the bar, and they're doing some great job looking at different issues of complaint filed against the police, the involvement of the police. I think the most recent issue is the Bee Mountain situation, and that the committee is looking at. They made several trips to the concession, and they will soon be coming out with their report. Rennie is also a member of a committee constituted by the Chief Justice, who has embarked on a reform initiative of the judiciary. And so that committee is currently looking at the code of moral and professional ethics that regulate the practice of law by lawyers. And so, a lot more, we are concerned about the performance of the judiciary, their challenges. And so, the bar will continue to work with relevant actors, the Supreme Court, the Office of the Chief Justice, international partners, and the civil society organizations to enhance our rule of law program. We are bedeviled with a multiplicity of issues, multiplicity of challenges that bedevil our practice of law, and maybe we need to reassess our entire program. Our entire program needs to be reassessed, and then we can now begin to make pragmatic interventions. And I agree with Comrade Lumumba, the Pan-Africanist intellectual who was here recently. He said, look, normally when governments come to power, they become overly ambitious and then set their strategic direction in a very ambitious way. But it's a good thing if we can reassess our program, and then we take maybe 2 or 3 iconic interventions that will shift our rule of law program in this country. Because there are many issues. If you look at our constitution, there are issues of constitutional violations. There are issues of violation of statutory laws in our country. There are issues of access to justice. The bar itself is providing legal services in 5 of the 15 counties. We are looking for funding to see what can be done to expand beyond the 5 counties. And so, but if you look at just dissecting our programs, you will get to know that we have multiplicity of issues that confront our rule of law regime. And it will be a good thing if we reassess the entire rule of law program. The Supreme Court has adopted a strategic plan, for instance, and we're working with them to see what can be done, for the next 5 years to support the court achieve its goal, its mandate, insofar as, legal delivery is concerned. We need to look at the bar itself, our role, in working with international partners to look at, working with the legislature, the lawmaking process. The bar was part of a meeting recently that was organized by the Judiciary Committee of the House to shift the paradigm. At that meeting, the Minister of Justice was a part, the leadership of the bar was a part, the Law Reform Commission was a part. They want to shift the paradigm in the lawmaking process. Though the Constitution has bestowed upon the legislature to make laws, but they are now reverting to relevant actors to get a buy-in and to see what we can do to support them, because some of them who are lawmakers may not be lawyers. And so they look at the expertise of the bar, the Law Reform Commission, the Minister of Justice, in helping them to make their laws, and it's good like that. And so, for instance, the arrest agenda of this government, we have commended His Excellency President Joseph Boakai.
The rule of law is one of the pillars.
Rule of law is one of the pillars, but we haven't seen much yet, and we are prepared to help. In the next 5 years, we want to know what the government is thinking about. The bar can complement the government of Liberia in making sure that rule of law is enhanced. Like I said, the issues are multiple. Quite recently, you heard back and forth issues about violation of a budget. That's a rule of law issue. If the budget is debated by the national legislature, money is appropriated to different agencies of government, and that instrument is signed into law and printed in the handbill, it is not the responsibility of anybody to go, quote unquote, finger such document. So, all these issues are here. And we have said all the time as a bar that in the absence of a vibrant rule of law program, it is going to be quite difficult to have peaceful coexistence of Liberia. It is going to be difficult to even attain the developmental initiative we're talking about here. Because everything in a democratic system borders on rule of law. And so, if we have no role to play, for instance, I hear that the arrest agenda is being formulated. Maybe later on the bar will be talked to, but we have not been asked to contribute to the process. I understand the agenda is being formulated. We want to know what they're thinking of the government insofar as rule of law is concerned, what the government wants to achieve in the next 5 years. So the bar is ready to work with this government in attaining that rural component of the development agenda that is being formulated. So we are ready and able to assist in the process. You may also recall recently there was a shift on the Supreme Court. Now the Supreme Court is mainstream gender-wise. There's gender sensitivity on the Supreme Court. We again, the bar to commend the government, President Joe Boakai, for having 3 females. Although he did not nominate all 3, at least now there's a dominant female dominance on the Supreme Court bench with the recent nomination. I think it is unprecedented, and we must commend the government for that great initiative. Though again, the LMBA was not consulted in the process that led to the nomination of Her Honor Associate Justice Sienna Clinton Johnson, but I think she's one of the brightest, and so we want to congratulate her in this public manner and congratulate the government for her nomination, her confirmation, her commissioning, and sitting recently.
Councillor Bama, since you were still talking about the rule of law issues and some of the lapses in the justice system and all of that, the bar is pretty situated to resolve some of these issues, especially when it comes to bringing some level of sanctity to the justice system. Over a number of period of time, people have always pointed accusing fingers at the judiciary system, talking about corruption and all of these in the justice system. How concerned is the bar, and what role can you play? I mean, to get the kind of name you expect out there, especially for the justice
we are
system.
quite concerned about the different assessments that have taken place of the judiciary. We are concerned about different assessment reports pointing to corruption and defects in the judiciary, challenges in the judiciary. We are quite concerned about the performance of the Honorable Supreme Court. We are quite concerned about the bar itself, our role, and we must be brutally frank with ourselves. Whenever these criticisms come out from the public, from legal pundits, I think we need to take them in constructively and see that we can use those criticisms to improve defects, challenges in our rural program. And so we are quite concerned about that. And that's the reason why we are open to working with the Honorable Supreme Court bench. We are open to working with the branch of government, the legislature, the executive branch of government. So the bar is ready. We have the expertise. On the issue of corruption, for instance, that you just raised, we are quite concerned about that. We have regulations, like I said to you, the 40 rules of moral and professional ethics, are being revised right now by a committee constituted by the Honorable Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. The bar is being represented on that committee, and we are making strides to see what can be done. Over time, we've said people who are caught in the act of corruption, we have the judicial canons that govern the performance of judges. For instance, judges are governed by the judicial canons. And then you have the moral professional ethics rules. 40 rules are governed the practice of law that govern we lawyers. So if people violate these regulations, these rules, for instance, the bar is of a conviction that these people should be investigated and dealt with. If they are found wanting, they should be dealt with. Because there is no way. Look, mind you, Marka, when you go to law school, during the orientation exercises, you are asked to submit a career statement. Why do you want to become a lawyer? You want to become a lawyer? For me, I say have a career statement to make an impact on the practice of law. Maybe I saw gaps a couple of years ago, and I said, if I become a lawyer, I will make an impact. And I encourage all members of the bar, including members of the Supreme Court bench, to revert to the career statement that they did when they were being enrolled in different law schools around the world. What impact have we made since we became lawyers individually? Because it is our collective impact that will inform our individual impact that will inform the collective. So we are quite concerned about these issues, and the only way we can help to resolve some of the issues that be dealt with the judiciary is to continue to talk, come around, sit down with the Honorable Supreme Court, talk these issues, sit down with the trial judges, talk this issue, sit down with the public defense lawyers, talk this issue, the prosecutors, talk this issue. We now have a competent Minister of Justice who is making some strides. We are ready to work with him to achieve his agenda at the level of the Minister of Justice. We support rule of law, we stand with rule of law, and that is the business of the bar. And so we are quite concerned about these issues, especially for different assessments of the judiciary over the years. almost all the assessment reports that have been proffered by different actors, whether international or local actors, have pointed out the issue of corruption in the judiciary. And we think that is the minute that all of us must begin to address, working together. We must not be uneasy when we receive this criticism that, look, the judiciary is corrupt, lawyers are corrupt, here and there. Let us take it and run with it. Talking about that, we are also concerned about the relationship among the branches of government.
What is happening?
In the 1986 Constitution, it is clearly defined. Functional responsibilities have been bestowed upon each branch of government. For instance, the role of the Supreme Court, for instance, is to interpret, or the court system is to interpret laws. The role of the executive branch of government, headed by the president, is to enforce those laws. Then you come to the legislature that is bestowed with the responsibility of making laws. We don't think, in the wisdom of the bar, those functional responsibilities bestowed upon each branch of government should be interfered with by any other branch of government.
Is that happening?
Well, from what we gather, unofficially, we hear about perception that a certain branch of government is against other branch of government. We hear that, actions of actors in those branches could be undermining to the performance of other branches of government. We hear all of that by association. And that's why...
Are there specifics?
Well, we hear all these things. And you are directing me to something called the political question doctrine. This is a doctrine that was conceived in the American jurisdiction in 1962. That doctrine simply streamlines the dichotomy among the branches of the government. That doctrine says a functional responsibility bestowed upon each branch of government must not be interfered with by another branch of government. If the role of the executive branch of government is to make executive decision, that executive branch of government headed by the president cannot be directing the courts, because it is not in his responsibility bestowed upon the president to direct the courts. If the judiciary, for instance, or the Supreme Court, or the court system, is there to interpret the laws of our country, the Supreme Court, so to speak, to bring finality, to certify the principle of res judicata, then the Supreme Court itself must not abuse its position. Because if the Supreme Court brings finality and definition to any subject matter brought before it, the only place you have to go is God. Then it means that those who sit on the Supreme Court bench must do their work consistent with the Constitution, must help to interpret the laws consistent with the law, consistent with the Constitution of Liberia, and must not do anything that will create the impression that the Supreme Court is undermining the function of the executive branch of government, or the legislature is undermining the function of the executive branch of government. So that political question doctrine must be respected.
Okay.
Whenever matters are brought before the court, for instance, the Supreme Court, there are elements the Supreme Court must be looking for. Whether that issue raises political question. For instance, if the executive branch of government is supposed to do criminal investigation and prosecution, for instance, and lead prosecution before the court, that is squarely the business of the executive branch of government. So nothing should be done to torpedo that particular function responsibility bestowed upon the executive branch of government by the Constitution. If the court has the responsibility to interpret the laws of our country, nothing must be done by the executive branch of government to interfere with that responsibility bestowed upon the court by the Constitution. And so, in the context of rule, I'm telling you about perception. I'm telling you about, you hear all these things. You from the media, you hear all these things. And the bar also hears all of these things. I'm just saying to you, from the context of rule of law, pragmatic rule of law intervention, especially when we come from American jurisdiction, this is a common law jurisdiction. We come from America. And so I'm just saying to you that in keeping with the political question doctrine, the branches of government must respect one another, must adhere to provisions of the Constitution, and must not go beyond their limits.
So,
The executive must not
since
go
you've been
beyond.
saying this, let me now bring in something. Maybe you can let me bring in the latest opinion from the Supreme Court in the case involving the former Chief Justice
Now you want to direct me to the Supreme Court matter specifically. Go ahead.
Gloria Scott. You know, there was so many political issues people were raising surrounding that case. But as a lawyer and the bar leadership itself, I mean, what do you make of the outcome?
I think the Supreme Court was quite brilliant in interpreting the laws. In and there is a lot that young lawyers learn from that opinion. I must commend the court specifically for the opinion. I myself learned a lot more things. Some of our colleagues in the bar have been misrepresenting that opinion. And we like to say here that the Supreme Court did very well. In this sense, on the question, murder is a capital offense, right? And so the court said circumstantial evidence. Once you want to rely on circumstantial evidence, not direct evidence, to prove murder, that circumstantial evidence must be cogent and must have probative value. The court was quite categorical. So the state relied on circumstantial evidence, and there were a lot of variances in the evidence gathering process. The court has said overturned that every averment in the indictment, every averment in an indictment must be proven before court. You must prove every averment in the indictment. If you say Justice Gloria Scott murdered Shalom Mosul with a knife, that knife in law we call it corpus delicti must be brought to court. That evidence must be adduced before court. And so we don't want to go into the nitty-gritty of the entire trial. It was a very laborious trial, but I think the court has brought finality to this matter. And so I think it was one of the most brilliant opinions of the Supreme Court. I know Justice Scott. I've worked with her over the years. We had cases together before the Supreme Court and the Elections Commission. I trust her. And I don't know how she would have murdered her own daughter who lived for her. There are many ways you can murder people, and I'm not here to defend her specifically. I'm talking about the opinion of the Supreme Court. And so let us go back to the subject matter that we're just discussing. But it's something that we follow very meticulously. We're there when the opinion was being read, and we commend the court for bringing this matter to a closure. So going back to what we're saying about the political question, recently, there was this issue about lack of budgetary support or cutting the budget of the judiciary. The Chief Justice had a press conference. We were there, and we supported the Chief Justice, and called for even breakfast meeting with the President and the Speaker to discuss these issues, because I don't think these issues are meant for public consumption. And so whatever the issues are, they can have the breakfast meeting and discuss those subject matter, and I think they will be able to reach, some good conclusion in keeping with our democratic system. The only way this country can ever flourish is when we adhere to our rule of law program that is cogent, pragmatic, and that is a way to do it. In the absence,
talking about rule of law, recently, I know we'll talk about the bar's engagement with other, legal bodies in the region and the world. But talking about this legal issue and the rule of law, there have been several other reports which the government has decided to act upon, including we understand that the grand jury of Osoro County recently put an indictment in some form of official of government, and some are in court recently, the part of bill which is in question by the state as well. But however, some are claiming that these actions are, witch hunt, not only for political reasons, but at the same time, Liberians are saying there's a need for the rule of law, there's need for people to be held accountable for their actions. I mean, what do you say to these things?
the bar stand will rule law. The bar stands will rule law. We stand will rule law, and we think that people are implicated in all the reports, and they are called for questioning. They must avail themselves. That's the only way. That's a due process. That's the rule of law program that we want in this country. There's a country of law, not country of men. And so those who are implicated in different audit reports, and my friend, now you're bringing the issue of audit reports. if you read some of the audit reports, you'll cry for this country. I don't know where we are going as a country. We sit there and pretend that, we don't know what's happening here. If you read some of the audit reports, like the CBL and all the things we're talking about here, only thing that we all should be supportive of is to allow people who are implicated to go to court and clear their names. Going to court doesn't mean you're going to get convicted. The essence of the prosecution is not to convict. But we think people must do an investigation. And if they gather the material evidence to go to court, let them prosecute. If people will be convicted, let them be convicted. If people will be acquitted, let them be acquitted. But we don't think people should evade justice. Those who are shying away from, investigation and criminal prosecution are not doing well for themselves. You are creating an impression that either you are complicit or you were complicit in the action, and that's why you don't want to come to face justice and want to encourage our people. Whoever you are, the best place to come to declare your name is before the court system. So, whether you're former Minister of Finance, whether you're former head of one institution or so, and you're being implicated in audit reports, I'm sure the Minister of Justice is doing this extra investigation to establish probable cause before they can go to court. And the way to address it is for you to come to clear your name, to stay away from the process. The bar doesn't see it as a wish on. The bar doesn't see it as a wish on. The bar see it as a methodology employed to move this country forward. Marka, if you talk about gross national product, the gross national product of any country must lead to the gross national happiness of any country. So what we raise here as revenue as our country must be able to create happiness for our people. But if the resources are generated and then you have a very few number of persons taking them away without any justification, it is not fair. So the bar association supposed,
somebody said government money is not free money.
It's not free money. The bar supposed the investigation and prosecution of people who are being implicated in different audit reports. That is the only way there will be sanity, there will be serenity in the public service. And one of that we're talking about even is a code of conduct that was passed in the law in 2014. It's been there for a long time, dusted. Now today, we again would like to commend the president of the country for announcing or setting up an ombudsman that will begin to operationalize the code of conduct to bring sanity in the public service, public officials, and public employees. And all these things must be done. That's what we're saying. For us, we remain neutral politically, but at the same time, when it comes to protecting our rule of law program, we jealously protect our rule of law program. And that's why we say the only way for productivity, for the gains that we've made, to sustain the gains that we've made, is through rule of law. In the absence of rule of law program, nothing will happen. This country does not belong to any political party. This country belongs to all Liberians.
You want to say something about that?
If Adewale Kekule is accused of stealing Marka's pen, and Ade says she did not take Marka's pen, or she took Marka's pen because Councillor Vaman told her to take it, it's only fair that she goes before a competent body or competent individual or competent institution to say, look, I took this pen, or if I took the pen, I took this pen because Councillor Vaman told me to take it. No, I did not take the pen. So if I sit and decide, okay, I'm in there because I may call it witch hunt, or okay, maybe it's personal, people trying to get you are trying to get back at me. Until I can go there to clear my name, the general perception is going to be that I did steal Marka's pen. Okay, so the best thing to do is to go there and clear your name. Say, I didn't take this pen. This is what happened. This is what I know happened. And then, of course, whether it's the Anti-Corruption Commission, or whether it's a court or some investigative body, they will be able to see through. After the investigation, they can go through the facts. And see that yes, I did not take the pen, or I did took the pen because Councillor Vaman told her to take the pen, or Marka took his own pen and he's accusing Ade of taking it. So the best thing to do, go there and clear your name. And all you have, like I always say, all you have in life is your name. Okay, at the end of the day, whatever you must have, whatever real or personal property you must have accumulated, the only thing you have in life is your name. Today or tomorrow, people are not going to say, oh, she accumulated so much property, or she accumulated, she was able to have so many children. What did you do people who remember today, it's not because we like them. It's because they either did something good or they did something bad. Okay, so just clear your name. Be on the safe side and clear your name. I mean, if I were in the shoes, that's what I would do.
Okay. Yeah, so let's talk about other engagement of the bar outside of Liberia, because I know there are other bar associations in other places, and you cannot run the Liberian National Bar Association in isolation. So let's hear some of the engagement.
Well, the bar remains very much connected to the international system. Today, we are working with members of the diplomatic corps here in Liberia. Some of them have made good overtures to the bar in supporting our rollout program, and so we think we'll continue to collaborate with our American partners, our European partners, the UN system, and so there are signals that the bar is being considered for a lot of support. A lot of support. You may also be aware that last year the bar was able to attract funding from the UNDP to get involved in the electoral management system of our country, to provide education to the citizenry. It was an inaugural intervention that had not happened before, and the impact was seen. The impact was seen. That project was so successful. The bar was able to go through the length and breadth of our country, holding engagement meetings, stakeholder engagement meeting with our different actors, security actors, civil society actors, even the media was part of the initiative. And so the amount of 150,000 was provided by the UNDP, and because of the efficacious nature in which that project was implemented, let me announce to members of the bar that the bar has received a second grant in the tune of 121,000 United States dollars for different projects, because we implemented the first project efficiently with all of our might, transparency, integrity being a hallmark. The bar made a report, and that report is about to be launched with some very strategic recommendations. And so you all going to be invited. I'm sure this week in Monrovia, that report is going to be launched with good recommendations to impact our electoral management system of our country. And because of that, we have won the second grant from the UNDP, from the Bureau of Narcotics in the United States of America.
This in what?
In Monserrado County, to reduce pretrial detention.
Okay.
Just for Monserrado County in a one-year program. And so we all must commend the leadership of the bar and also commend our international collaborators for making this to happen. That project will also be launched in Monrovia this week or probably next week. And so some of our lawyers are going to benefit. They're going to be going from court to court to reduce pretrial detention just in Monserrado. Okay. So we'd like to announce that we've won the second grant. The bar is a serious integrity institution. We want to thank UC through EMPA for establishing a system at the level of the bar where nothing is supposed to go wrong in terms of our handling of finances. There are recommendations to have a software program, and by the time that capacity assessment can take place, that in fact taking place right now in Buchanan by UNDP. Okay. Myself supposed to be there. And so by the time our capacity can be assessed as a bar, and of course we have unlimited funding support from international partners. So that project will be launched in Monrovia this week. And so we'll let them commend our UN partners for that support to ensure that we reduce pretrial detention in Monserrado. Now, talking about our collaboration with international organizations, you may be aware that the bar is a member of the West African Bar Association. The West African Bar Association was established in 2004 to promote democratic consolidation and to improve rule of law in the sub-region. 15 member states. And so that institution had been around for some time. And so it had its general annual convention in Cotonou, Benin in June and July. And the constitution was amended and adopted, as we've done here with the local bar, with the Liberian National Bar Association. And their humble servant, Councillor Bonovama, was elected overwhelmingly as the new vice president of the West African Bar Association.
Okay, yes,
the first Liberian lawyer to win such a very prestigious position sitting on a sub-regional organization. And that was monumental.
Did you campaign?
Well, yes, you know the Francophones are in majority, but this is what happened. Last year at the convention in Ghana, there was something that happened at that convention, and Liberia was awarded a prize.
Okay.
The Francophone country decided to walk out because of an indifference with the conference organizer in Accra last year,
Okay.
the last annual general conference of WABA, and it took Councillor Sylvester Rennie, National President of the Liberia National Bar Association, and the Humble Seven, National Secretary General, who intervened to bring all the Francophone countries back to the hall. And the issue was quite simple. The military intervention had taken place in Niger, and were trying to adopt a position to condemn that military intervention in Niger, but the Francophones saw it differently. They say what you see as democracy, we don't see it as being democratic. And so we don't support the view that we should condemn the coup in Niger. So they became very indifferent, and so we had to intervene to bring them back in the hall. So this year, when we reconvene in Cotonou, Benin, for the adoption of the constitution and the election of the new couple of officers in WABA, they decided to take note of Liberia. You can imagine a Secretary General representing the Liberia National Bar Association had defeated a sitting president of the Bar Association of Cape Verde with 12 votes to 3. So it means that the Liberia National Bar Association has been recognized regionally as being an institution that is making pragmatic intervention insofar as rule of law is enhanced in our own country and the sub-region. The leadership of WABA have been tasked to work with the new president of Senegal, who has been appointed by the ECOWAS Commission to talk to the Confederation. The Confederation, there's a new Confederation now of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. So I'm on my way to Dakar next week to participate in the first executive committee meeting of WABA, and we will be adopting a strategic direction for WABA for the next 2 years. At the same time, we'll hold a meeting with the Senegalese president to see what role WABA can play in getting Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger back to ECOWAS. I think it's a critical matter that needs quick intervention because of geopolitical interests.
That's a huge task.
That's a huge task, and so we'll make some frontier effort because so Liberia is being recognized. In fact, the meeting in Dakar will be presided over by me and the United Nations office in West Africa because the president of WABA father died recently. So as vice president, I'll be presiding over that WABA meeting in Dakar, working with the Senegalese president and the United Nations office for West Africa and the Sahel to see what role WABA can play in getting Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger back to ECOWAS. I think it's a serious matter. You know, I don't want to talk about all the geopolitical things with Russia and France and everything here on the show, but that's what happening. So it's a vibrant rural institution. We are going to hold government feet to the fire in the sub-region to enhance rural
What
programs.
does your election at that level mean for the bar and Liberia as a country?
It's an elevation, serious elevation. In fact, a report has been compiled and sent to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the President subsequently that Liberia has been elected on the WABA in the WABA initiative as Vice President for the first time, and hoping that after the next 2 years, Liberia can even take the presidency. People recognize what we do here, but we must not continue to do the same old thing and get the same old result, and we say we are moving forward. We are also supposed to work with different governments in the sub-region to begin to enforce rulings of the ECOWAS Community Code of Justice. You were in this country a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so
The 3 branches of government here colluded, and I would say it colluded to remove a sitting associate justice that was declared unconstitutional by the ECOWAS Community Code of Justice. We lost our case and mandated in that ruling. Liberia is supposed to have reinstated Justice Kabina Janet at the Supreme Court bench or pay his benefit up to retirement. We haven't done that. We can't be pretending that we are a rural country and we don't want to abide by international rulings that affect the sub-region and other member states in Africa.
you think that's what Liberia
so-
back go with the
I think so. I think so. Though I was elected overwhelmingly, but I think so because when we're talking about enforcement of the different rulings of the ECOWAS Community Code of Justice, one issue that keeps on coming up that is topical is a cabinet general issue, and I think we have to find a way as a nation state to resolve that matter because it's something that hangs over Liberia.
The current administration should do something about
I
that.
think something has to be done. Pay a benefit or if you can reinstate me. The benefit said the court ruling said you either reinstate it or pay a benefit. So these are all issues that we are going to elevate at level of WABA. The enforcement mechanism of the ECOWAS Community Code of Justice remains critical, And we think member states of ECOWAS that sign that protocol to establish a court must do the needful to adhere to rulings.
Member banks benefit from the regional body?
Capacity building, for instance, we are looking for money now to see what role WABA can play in the country bar association to build the capacity of our members. We're trying to talk democratic consolidation. We're trying to talk trade facilitation. You know about the African Free Continental Trade Agreement that was signed some time ago. What role can we play as a country? And in that light, the Bar Association of Liberia, our own leadership is working with the Minister of Commerce to revise the competition law of Liberia, the antitrust law and consumer protection law of Liberia. We're working with the Commerce Ministry to see what role we can play in revising that competition law. So a lot more is taking place at the level of the sub-region.
The bar is actually a big institution.
Big institution and highly recognized. Like I said to you, we've been having meetings with members of the diplomatic corps. The new ambassador accredited near this capital, my friend Mike Turner, has had 2 different lunches in honor of the bar. He's prepared, America is prepared to work with the bar in improving our rule of law program. The EU delegation is prepared to work. They've manifested that. They've made overtures that they are ready to work with the bar. Even on transitional justice issues, you know about the issue of one economic crimes code that have been lingering all around the place. So we have received tremendous support from our international partners to bring closure and accountability to atrocities committed during the civil conflict. So we are quite concerned about, and talking about the war economic crimes code, we must begin to look at evidence gathering, which is also strategic.
You think that's the
international community can pump in all the money here to establish the code that is much talked about, and then you don't do one successful prosecution. So maybe our Minister of Justice must begin to set up a small team of prosecutors, investigators, to begin to look at evidence gathering processes. Because the TRC report in itself cannot be used as the evidence that we, so to speak, that we need to prosecute people. So as we do the infrastructure, as we get the director appointed by the president very soon, as we get the international support, we must be concerned about the little things that matter. Evidence gathering remains very critical to any prosecution that we envisage, and we think that is critical. So as a bar, we will work with the system, the government, to complement the efforts of President Marka and his government in bringing closure and accountability to this issue, the violent conflict that we had in the past.
What role is the bar playing when it comes to the either electing or selection of the head of the office?
Well, you know, this whole process started with some commotion, some confusion. We must thank the president in this public manner for resetting the entire issue. The bar is now serving on a committee, a vetting committee with the Minister of Justice and Civil Society ITAS to vet and send 3 names to the presidency who would do the ultimate appointment of the new executive director. You heard a lot of issue accusation that the bar was involved in the removal of one of its members. I want to dismiss that. The president has spoken to this subject matter very openly, that he only granted an interview when he was asked whether or not the bar was involved. The bar was consulted by the office of the president, and he said no, the bar was not consulted, without even mentioning the name of our colleague. We respect our colleague, Councillor Jonathan T. Masaboy. We know that he's a prominent member of the bar, and there is no way this bar, consistent with its constitution, can engage in actions to undermine any of its members in whatever shape, form, and manner. The bar is quite concerned about the nomination. I think Jonathan Masaboy made it 3. It was Bobby Livingstone, Lavia Good, all councillors of the Supreme Court Bar, and Jonathan Masaboy, who were appointed, I can say maybe without due diligence, and later on, the president, I know he enjoys the constitutional privilege to withdraw those names. But what that does to our members, it demotivates them. And so we are quite concerned. The next time President Marka wants to prefer a lawyer in any position, we just encouraging him, because he has authority consistent with the Constitution to appoint public officials. Let him be able to do some due diligence so that it can bring embarrassment to our members. We respect our members, we cherish them, we do nothing to undermine any member of the bar. And so we want to make that very clear. We are ready to work with our membership. Our membership has been quite supportive over the years. And so we cherish our membership, and nothing the leadership will do to undermine any of its members.
Okay, nothing the leadership of the Liberian National Bar Association will do to undermine any of its members. That's a good word there from Councillor Bonobama. He's the National Secretary General of the Liberian National Bar Association. We also have Councillor Ade Wadekekula here this morning talking about a wide range of issues, including the upcoming convention, which is an elected convention, as well as the amendment to the bar's constitution, the engagement of other regional bodies, and all of that. But that's a small thing about the election I'll be having during the convention now.
Well, before coming to the election, I know what you want to ask.
It's your position.
So, yeah, I know what you want to ask. There is this issue about our help project that we let us speak to. Most of our members are concerned that they don't hear anything substantively about this project. And so the National President has mandated us to speak to this subject matter and provide clarification. The project is going to be in full swing, but it is good for our members to know that our bar is an evidence-based institution. It's a rule of law institution. Whatever decision we take at the level of the leadership must be consistent with laws.
Okay.
The procurement law must be respected. We hired a contracting firm some time ago when Gonglo was leaving power. And that firm has been able to do some work with support from the bar. And we must commend our membership for the levy they've been paying. Some of them are paying $1,000 to the project, councillors. And then some of them are paying $500 to the project. And then lots of them are paying.
Is it annually?
No, it's one shot due, but over a period of time, because we know the readiness of the economy. So we don't want to, regiment people when they're not in, and so that project has been going on for some time, but the contractor defaulted.
Okay.
And violated the contract they executed with the bar. So in the wisdom of the National Executive Council, the contract was terminated. They've done some very good work there, though. We have done wiring, the walls are out, and the major things that left on the ground floor now will be POP and the tiles, the doors, and commodes, and we have money for that. So another process has been initiated sometime 3 months ago with a bid in the newspaper again to attract Liberian contractors. Our members must understand out there we're not going to rush to crash. We have to follow the procurement law. We are holding national government and other people accountable.
Is the project time bound?
Well, we have not made this project time bound, but it's something we would like to complete because it's a 3-story complex that we intend to build. And it's a very ambitious project. And so whether it is the levies that will complete that project or we need to talk to people outside and somewhere in the community is something the leadership of the bar will have to think about. But as I speak to you, all funds collected from members of the bar to complete the ground floor of that project is domiciled. The funds are domiciled at the LBDR. Over $215,000 we have in our account at LBDR to complete the ground floor. So by the time a new firm is contracted, project executed, it can be next week, it can be a week after next, you will see work taking place at the headquarters project. The reason why there have been this little gap is because we could not act outside of the law to take my brother or the president take his wife, company to go and do it, will be charged for conflict of interest and corruption. So we need to tread very meticulously in the context of the law to ensure that there's prudence, there's transparency, and accountability in so far the construction of that very ambitious project is concerned. So we are doing our best, and by the time that contract is executed with the new Liberian firm, Councillor Tommy Dogba is chairing a committee that is doing an evaluation of the bidders, and that committee will send a report to the National Executive Council, and the Executive Council will execute the contract with a new firm, and then we'll begin to go back to our project, and there will be value for money. We will hear all this speculation, nothing, things are taking place in our project, but we must be very meticulous, and our actions must be in the confines of the law, and we are committed. If the leadership does not complete where we're supposed to be, I'm sure the new leadership that will be elected in November will do the needful to complete that project. So that
I don't pray, but what would be your position? What rates is your position at WABA if you are not re-elected?
I'm not going for re-election as National Secretary General. I'm not too sure who came here for that. There will be a specific show on that. I know you're hearing other things, and I don't think I'm here before people accuse me that we're using the bar money to campaign. So when the time comes, the media will be accordingly and appropriately informed about our next step, whether or not we want to be re-elected as Secretary General, whether or not we want to be national president of the bar. It will be a public knowledge for all to consume. But for now, let's talk LMBA convention. Let's talk about international connection. Let us talk about the rule of law issues.
Let's take some calls. Maybe some questions I think ask members of the public want to ask a bar. So for the female line 0770202579, the female line 0770202579, and the male line 0777285961. These are the numbers you can call to participate. We have with us Councillors Bonobama and Adi Wedi Kakula here this morning for the Library National Bar Association. Please stay away from your radio or your monitor when you call, please. We don't want the feedback. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Mr. and I'll call you from GSA. I'm happy to make my input. And let me say thank you to Mr. Ray and the Institute.
Let's consider Obama, not consider Randy.
Okay, sorry for that. I was going to add my 1 minute quickly. I have three concerns. This is for law interpretation in our country. One, what the president of the 1966 Constitution, I think Article 1 something talk about the people residential council never be exonerated or not be investigated. Two, the suppression of the city or governor. The legislature is close to the authority according to the act that created the CDL and now amended as also by the president suspended. What is the interpretation? Three, the Supreme Court is the final arbiter. The Supreme Court is the final arbiter of the ruling. What happened? ENR is the ECOWAS code able to overturn any jurisdiction made by the Supreme Court.
That decision. Okay, thank you. It's okay. It's okay. You ask the question here. Yeah, so let me take this one. Good morning.
Good morning, Marka. Good morning to your studio guests. I'm David Coty. And let me say many thanks to the National Bar for their support to this government when it comes to fighting corruption. You know, what I have always hated in my whole life is to find leaders of the country who think that other people, the people that lead, are a bunch of fools. Oh, no, we are not. We gave our country the manage and our resources. And we're not satisfied with the way things happen. So come and tell us how it happened. Every damn day, wish on. Look.
Do you want your words?
The word damn is not an insult. Ask the lawyer that. It's not an insult. Oh, yes, it's an empathy. It's not an insult. Go check your dictionary. All I'm saying here is I want to think about. They have done very well for this country and they're fighting very hard for this country. And finally, thank you for the role you play in getting the elections to where we are today. You play a good role. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Okay, thank you, David Coty. There, you can also place your call to 0777285961. That's the male line, and the female line 0770202579. You can call to participate on the show this morning. We have two great lawyers. One is the vice president of the West African Bar Association, Councillor Bonobama, who is also the national secretary general of the Liberian National Bar Association. So the two of them are here this morning talking more about the activities of the bar, including the upcoming elective convention, the amendment to their constitution, and other work they've been doing with international partners, especially members of the diplomatic corps in Liberia. Let's take this caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Anthony Frank Esdoko Senior.
Okay.
Let me first acknowledge the presence of the chief scribe of the National Bar Association. Let me take him to extend my sympathy to him for the passing of his relative. See, following the work, you have worked so hard for him to bring it the way it is. And we are standing tall in supporting your activities from the back. We can assure you that on that day you will be rewarded. Thank you and keep up the great work. Thank you.
All right, I didn't want to make another statement. Good morning.
human environment as the legal counsel for the client. Sometimes they will give the client under the client cases or case. So what is the bad thing in order to establish a counsel or a attorney who will give the client when you know or someone will give the trouble, someone will go outside and refuse to use the client cause.
Okay, you answer you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hello?
Good morning, you're live. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mom. My name is Daniel. I'm calling from the water community. My name is one.
Okay.
I want to thank Marka for bringing the call on the show, and I want to.
Hello, are you there?
It's not on rule of laws. But I'm saying, let us go through the education to make people to respect the rule of laws. Once they have the rule of laws and the people, the citizens are not made to respect the rule of laws, it becomes nothing. Okay, then the second thing is, whether you are who are here for them to revisit the Constitution so that the membership or the bar association will have a limit. Like if you are promoted to the position of chief justice or something like that, you become member of the bar association that will impede your operation. So who are lawyers when to become a president who is a member of the bar association and become a president of the rhetorical superior, we should become a member of the bar association. There won't be control over this president. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the female line and take this caller this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing, lawyers?
Yes, the lawyers are good. Oh.
Yeah, I know they're good. They are coming to talk like a lady. Because we have recent, we see people will go and corrupt, take lawyers to go and fight the battle, and then that person will go stop because the law and have to turn it around. I won't speak to your conscience today. I know your law, you know the law. But the best thing we can do when we appointed is to save the people and not take the people money and go run it to lawyers because lawyers are able to do it and they get money. You can't change a mission to come. And we here we suffering because people manage to not do anything and together in our roads are bad. We cannot even be proud of where to stay when it is raining in the parking lot because these things actually women are dying from childbirth because they cannot breathe. There is no good to hospitals or whatever. When people are appointed to position, they are appointed for the people and not for the packets. There are two pieces I can say anything, but I one thing for the people, the other one for the packet. So we thank your lawyers. Thank you. We want to appreciate you for going to all the things. We may not have the time to see your industry, but we have the time to call our own the phone. Thank you and God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Here you go. Let me take the phone caller. Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Please make some adjustments. The line is bad. No, we can't continue with that. Let me replace you with this one. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Go ahead.
This is Solomon Ware, and I'm calling from Monrovia.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm basically concerned about this latest development in the law. Thank God that the members of the association are here to discuss it. I'm concerned about the establishment of another law school in Liberia. What does the bar think about this establishment? You know, another law school is being established, you know, outside of the University of Louis Anthony School of Law. You know, what does the bar think about it?
Okay. Thank you, Brethren. Yes, okay. Let's go straight to our guest. We can respond to some of the callers. Maybe you can start with Solomon Ware's question about the establishment of another university in the country.
in
No, no, no. You will come out. You will come out.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just start. Both of the questions are for the SG, but those of them I can cover. Let me just start with them. Um, okay, there was a caller that talked about lawyers extorting, say eating the client's money and then abandoning the client. You have redress. We have what is called the Grievance and Ethics Committee. Yeah, you can go and file your complaints and you are going to get redress. If you are not aware of those things, all you have to do is to go to the national bar, and the bar is going to refer you to the appropriate body for you to be able to file your complaint. So it's just that people are not aware of those things, but if you do, please, you just have to go and file your complaint. Only the single one lady that called, talk about people being appointed to serve, and sometimes we do not do the right thing. You know,
I think your point is that sometimes when people are accused or even
Corruption,
indicted of
why-
corruption, they will hire lawyers, then lawyers will go to plead.
Automatic.
But that's their work now.
and the thing is, I mean, people have the right. Okay, everybody has. I mean, and it's a right given to you by the organic land. I mean, by the organic document, by the Constitution of this republic. You have right to redress. If you are accused, you have the right to be represented by a lawyer. And if the other side cannot appropriately defend any accusation against you, of course, the court cannot hold you if your lawyer is if the prosecuting lawyer is unable to adequately provide evidence that John Brown stole $1 or John Brown raped somebody. You know, so it's something we don't have control over, but it's good that when lawyers are going to court, the best you can do is to be able to have sufficient evidence in able for you to be able to convict your whoever you are taking to court. If you cannot, what happens is that most times the person walks, and it's a difficulty. Maybe you have to find time, or maybe see about having a particular show to address these issues, so that we can explain to people better. It's not that the court is in favor of somebody who is said to have raped, or somebody who is said to have attempted to murder somebody else, but it's because of the system. If you say, are they attempted to kill John, you have to be able to adequately prove that are they attempted to kill John. If you cannot prove that, are they walks?
Okay.
So that is it. Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
The rest of them
Okay, so then the caller from Magibi said we should have mechanisms for Liberian respect rule of law, and I think that is critical. That is critical because it is a conviction of the bar that there's no way to move an inch toward development, toward democratic sustainability, without people who consume the law begin to respect the law. So I agree with the caller that yes, the bar association should do something, working with relevant actors, for those who consume the law to respect the law and rule of law. I was talking about the budget law. You know, people don't even know that when a budget is signed into law, that's a law, that's an enforceable law. And nobody's supposed to sit down anywhere to manipulate such budget without the involvement of the national legislature. We must begin to respect law at all levels. You are at 2FM. Here, there should be an office etiquette for employees of 2FM. There must be rules here. Now, this is a private sector. Maybe say this is what is applicable here to employees of 2FM. And you don't want to abide by any basic law, any basic regulation of 2FM. You want to stand tall here to abuse Marka David and even abuse liability. And you think you go scot-free, but then somebody touches you and you say, oh, I'm this person's son. I'm in this political party, or I'm this person's brother. That is not the way to sustain democratic gains. Rule of law should be adhered to in every portion every component of our democratic setting. And so I agree with that caller that everything must be done for people to adhere to rule of law and respect rule of law. On the question of Solomon Ware, my brother, Solomon, just as you are hearing, that's how we are hearing it. Quite recently, a team of lawyers visited with the office of the LMBA and made a declaration that a new law school was in the making. My friend and brother Kwame Clement, my friend and brother say Balaze, Commissioner Boaka Dukle, who is a sitting commissioner at the Election Commission, a major proponent behind this idea. And they disclosed to the leadership of the bar they've gotten a permit from the National Commission on Higher Education to open a new law school. They have even the facility on the Capital Bypass. So a lot has been put into this, and that is what I can say to the public.
But is there anything wrong with that?
I don't think so. It depends on where you sit. You know, in graduate school in Europe, when the professor asked question when I was in graduate school, they say it depends. So they are not direct. They say it depends. So from where you sit, there could be a pro and a con.
Okay.
But if you look at our population in this country, I think we need to be progressive in our thoughts. We need to be progressive in our action. I don't know what that will do, and I think it will encourage efficiency, academic excellence at the level of the Louis Adams School of Law. So I talked this informally with the dean of the law school. In fact, I discussed with him. I said, "My man, have you heard something?" He said, "What's that?" I say, "A new law school in the making." So it's a developing story. I think we should continue to talk about it at the leadership of the bar, and all the concerns will be addressed.
Yes, Council, I'm sorry to say we can just use the next 2-3 minutes of close because of time.
Yeah, thank you. And then we receive commendation from my friend David Koti and Attorney Frank Suku. Thank you. We'll continue to do our best. And the other one that has to do with CBL, I don't know where the case is now. I think it's before the Supreme Court. And as a member of the Supreme Court bar, I don't know whether I'm supposed to be discussing that thing on the radio. So please, next time when I come here, I have my own position on that subject matter. I disagree with a lot of lawyers. If you look at Article 43 of the Constitution, the framers of the Constitution attempted to outline impeachable positions. Check it on your media person. Article 43. They said the president, the vice president, impeachable officers. Article 43. Then they talk about the Chief Justice, associate justices, judges. Though they did not establish any limit to the number. I was talking about the political question doctrine earlier, and maybe we need to find some time, Marka, so we can come here and provide some education on that, what it means, for the consumption of the public.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And doing comparative analysis and then coming back to our law, whether any central bank act has a provision to impeach the executive governor. I mean, I like to be very clear and brutal, and that's me, So, if the president, it is in Article 43, the last sentence say, every public official, read it, Article 43, the last sentence say, every public official works at the will of the president. So, no law, and I'm saying it again, no law is supposed to contradict that provision of the Constitution. But again, let me stop right there. Yeah, the matter is before the Supreme Court, before somebody can hold me. So please, I stop there. And so again, the convention is being planned very well. Members of the bar are encouraged to visit the offices of the bar to make payment of their convention fees. Again, $300 for the Chief Justice and members of the Supreme Court. $250 for judges. $200 for counselors at law. $175 for attorneys. $125 for
Law students.
Let me close. Before I close, let me congratulate the recently admitted members of the Supreme Court bar.
Okay.
We want to congratulate them. Let me also, on behalf of the leadership, commend senior lawyers who have established law firms to mentor junior lawyers in the profession. They are doing great. The last thing, please, I know time is out. The bar has been invited to participate in the annual conference of the African Bar Association that is scheduled to take place in Lusaka, Zambia in October. So members of the bar desirous of participating in that annual general convention of ABBA, can begin to go on the website, make their payment, so they can duly participate in the Lusaka conference of the bar. I want to thank you for the opportunity. We want to thank you because we know you've always been progressive, and we'll continue to work with True FM to enhance our rule of law program. There are a lot more coming, We'll be inviting you to launch our project sometime this week and to talk about our new project that we've won, because the bar is a very serious integrity institution, and that's why we are now attracting funding from here and there.
Thank you,
and making sure that the fundings are used for the intended purposes. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
And yes, Council.
Okay, so for my parting comments, what the people complain about people eating lawyers eating clients' money, it really resonates with me. What people also don't know is there are people who are called quack lawyers. They are not lawyers, but they are in mostly the magisterial courts, the courts that are in the communities, and people think they are lawyers. So before you ask somebody to plead your case or to be a lawyer, ask the person for their license. They should have a license for that current year. So if the person does not have a license, please find somebody who has a license. That means the person is not a lawyer. Yeah, so you want to, and then we want to thank you for the opportunity, and we look forward to a very fruitful elections in November. Thank you for having thank you for having us, and we'll be back to talk more about the elections.
Thank you. So we're getting playback, so you gotta take note. Yes, so that's Councillor Bonavama as well as Councillor Ade Kakula. They've been here this morning talking more about the Liberian National Bar Association, the upcoming elective convention, as well as other activities of the bar. We're taking a break to be right back. ANSU SIRLEAF, Marka Davis.
Tomo, have you heard about EcoBank Back to School giveaway?
I haven't. Tell me about it.
Tomo, for every Western Union, MoneyGram, RIA, or rapid transfer transaction done at any EcoBank branch or sub-agent location, you can get a prize. So,
Will, I'm not understanding you. Tell me about it because my brother the children's school fees first thing tomorrow.
Okay, oh, listen again. Whether you send money or receive money through Western Union,
I said, chi, my son Teddy Rat Kanye. You not pay your EDC bill? Yeah, mama, la bro, I just buy my car. You sure? How you buy it? Because send the money and see you moving from here, said. But I have to move from my house before I buy car. I use orange money right on my phone to pay my EDC bill. Oh, so you can use orange money not to pay your EDC bill? I will not leave your transfer until you show me the code right here. My Oma, the Tina, if you see a USD account, just dial *144 141 hash. Or when you see your LRD account, that's *144 231 hash. Or better still, right on your selling back. And the good thing is, with Orange Money, you can buy your LEC token with no service charge. I said, my son Teddy Rap, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to tell all my friends in the market that we can use Orange Money to pay our LEC bill. Thank you so much. Well.
My people, your hello. That your Orange Money here, Amanda. I bring your good news from Orange Money. With your Orange Money account, you can pay your DSTV bill at any time from anywhere with no extra service charge. With Orange Money, it's free. All you need to do is dial *144 163 hash, or better still, use the Orange Money app to make the thing easy, because I know you.
Well, folks, welcome back to the TBS here on Truth 96.1 FM. We have roughly 15 minutes to 10 o'clock. And again, welcome back to the show. Thanks to our guests. We have called them here today to talk about some rural bar issues, some issues concerning the Liberian National Bar Association. That was great. Yes. So again, we will talk briefly to the end of the show. We'll talk about this issue of the road, the deplorable road conditions. We understand that we are in the rainy season, and normally during the rainy season, the roads leading to the interior part of the country are deplorable because they are not paved with asphalt or concrete pavement, so they are just dirt road. So during the rain, there are difficulties in people traveling. So we want to again talk to the president and the Ministry of Public Works. The president's vision is that there will be good road in the country, whether rainy season or dry season. Like he said on this radio when he came for that interview when he was still candidate for president. So we are hoping that these routine interventions will be done on the major spots along the road, so that because whether it is dry or rainy season, the economy has to run. The people have to live. So we are hoping that the president and his government can ensure that they can make these critical interventions on the roads going to the southeast. Right now, between Grand Bassa and Riverside County, the roads are terrible. There are some terrible spots there. When you go into parts of Nimba, the last time our correspondent reported parts of Nimba, the roads there are getting terrible, and the southeast, obviously, you know that. So yes, we are hoping that as we enter the dry season, there will be some concrete actions, interventions along these routes, so that next rainy season we cannot experience the same thing we are experiencing this rainy season. Again, in the urban areas, the roads in the urban areas, the paved roads are getting damaged by the day. And to Representative Small Mobile, where you build that or where you design the roundabout at the partner supermarket there, the design is nice, it's beautiful, but then the road is broken all around the roundabout there. So terrible. I passed there these few days, I saw it. I think if the Public Works Ministry is not ready here yet, I think the lawmakers should try and do some intervention there, because it's real ditches, big hole there like that. I think you should do something about that. Again, we want to remind our Liberian people that the monkeypox issue, there's a saying in Liberia, they say when snake biting, when you see the tail of the lizard, you can be frightened and you can be careful. We had an experience with Ebola, we had an experience with COVID. Now we're talking about monkeypox. The National Public Health Institute just confirmed last week that there's a second case in the country. So we want to call on our people to.
So we have two.
Yes, two cases.
Two cases already confirmed.
Yeah. And we want to call on our people to take the preventive measures. Let's continue to wash hands, stay away from people that are showing signs and symptoms. Yes, and ensure that we can protect ourselves and our families and the country at large.
I think it is a time now for I think more morning to be investing in the health sector, because the way you said, Marka, it is time now we have the awareness of what people being informed, how to stop, taking.
Yeah, we need to start playing the jingles on the radio all over the country.
Radio engagement, all this stuff. And so I think it is time now for the government to look at that side. Two cases confirmed already. So the what you said, we did experience the Ebola and then the COVID. So this thing about the monkeypox or what we are talking about, two cases, I think it's necessary. We start now to start putting all necessary prevention measures in place so we can save our people. So the health authority need to start doing regular radio engagement, jingles, community engagement, or the PA system. So I think the government need to put some money now in the health sector.
Yes, and we want to appeal to partners who have continuously helped Liberia. Liberia, we can't do everything, uh, on our own. Sometimes we are not in isolation. We always, most of the time, rely on assistance from our partners. So we are hoping that people who are supporting and funding health programs should come to the aid of the government to ensure that we can have some help to educate our people or inform our people about the monkeypox.
Okay.
And yes, and also to ensure that they live safely. So our final point is the government delegation out of the country. Again, we don't want just publicity for political purpose. Yes, and I will always say this: we don't want just publicity for political points, to say, oh, this government is doing this more than that government. The Liberian people want to see the tangible. They want to see the tangibles. They want to see. We know that this administration is just in its first year. So obviously it is about knocking the doors of investors, knocking the doors of donors to see how they can support the administration to successfully implement its agenda that they call the arrest. So it is too early to think that things will just happen overnight.
Yeah.
That is not, it will not be a fair judgment for us.
So that's why we are saying it's too early. So we have to put in, put that pressure on it to work too.
Yes, they must work. But the point I'm raising is, ANSU, we don't want them, officials of the government, because there's social media publicity, big social media publicity for political points and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, you don't see these things happening in the life of the Liberian people. It can be frustrating. That one can lead to sometimes people voting you out prematurely. Yes, because I can say for a fact that the CDC suffered that. The CDC suffered that. When they came to power in 2018, they were making these engagements, signing memorandum of understanding, and making big publicity about these things. For example, the overhead bridge. They talk about the Boulevard Junction in Congo Town. They talk about, which other place they talk about again? The ministerial complex, and all these places they talk about. At the end of the day, these things didn't happen. And they told all
about the Lone Star.
Yeah, and they told the Lone Star Air, for example. Okay, so they said that we have signed agreement, we have signed deal. For example, the Igbo Loon, the Eaton deal, the Coastal Highway. All of these things, they make huge publicity about it. Liberian people were happy, and we were placing it all in the news headline. Yeah, we were placing them all in the news headlines. At the end of the day, some of these things didn't happen. So it should serve as a lesson for the succeeding government to know that before you make big publicity about issues, you should be sure that these things will work. You should be sure that these things will work. Today, that memorandum of commitment that was signed with that CRBG or GB in China there, that firm, about setting up an oil refinery in Liberia is very ambitious. It is ambitious. And in Africa, sometimes some things are workable, but sometimes we see things to be too big that can't happen. So there are some people who are doubting that firm will invest $3 billion in Liberia to set up an oil refinery. So some people doubt it.
And they'll always say government is continuity. That is same people.
You understand?
Yeah.
So we know that when these kind of things are signed, yes, you put it in the news, but you should explain it to the extent that the Liberian people will understand well. Because when you say memorandum of commitment, because that's how they call it, memorandum of commitment, it means that the company has committed that they will do it, but it is contingent upon several other things before these kind of things can be done. Firstly, a team will come to do the assessment to see the feasibility of setting up such big industry, and all of that. They will do all of that. So if they do all of these studies and find out, well, it is good, we can do it, we can invest,
will get return on investment, then they will do it. Why if they do the feasibility study and say, well, I'm not sure we can put this money here, and that will not happen. You see, for example, so we should be informing the people what is memorandum of commitment, because some of your political stooges are passing around with this thing that the president has been able to secure, because of the what they are using, secure 3 billion. Secure 3 billion. Y'all explain this thing to our Liberian people, then they understand. It is a commitment that the firm signed with the government. Say, well, we want to invest in this refinery that will cost around $3 billion.
And I like what you said, Marka. It takes for it's not about showing,
political muscle now,
muscle. I want to prove what other people can do, the past government or what. No, it's not it. So this thing about maybe going straight to the social media, and so you go through the engagement, the interaction you haven't yet concluded.
Pre-announcement, pre-announcement. You did announce and make big news, and sometimes these agreements have not reached any level. They're just initial stages of the arrangement. And you make big news. The Liberian people buy it, and they say, well, all we know, the government will secure 3 billion is coming. At the end of the day, 2027, 2028, 2029, if that refinery is not set up, the Liberian people will say, oh, lie to them. Yeah, the Liberian people will say, President Joseph Boakai and government delegation went to China and lied to us, say they were bringing 3 billion refinery to Grand Basel, and they didn't do it. So when you are discussing issues at the initial stages, you should be able to make the information clear to the Liberian people, let them be aware. To say we sign memorandum of commitment is not to say the government has secured $3 billion. Let's be clear with the information we provide to the people. If they say there's a commitment for 100 million for road and other infrastructure programs, that is fine also. We welcome the good news. Okay? We welcome the good news. We also heard that there was another memorandum signed. I saw the information minister signing on behalf of the government of Liberia to invest in real estate in Liberia, especially around the Monrovia area. That's also a welcoming news. But from the initial discussions, we should keep it at that. Let's let the Liberian people know that when we are having discussion on these things to happen, we should not make it look like they think, we get it already. Because tomorrow, if some of these commitments, the assessments are done and they are not feasible to happen, it will haunt you. It haunted people before it will haunt you.
Because right now, the people expectations are very high.
Yes.
Yeah, it's high, especially with how this government came, into power. So it's just about being relaxed, Marka. And you said it all. It's not about showing it, but maybe you want to show power.
Yeah, you do it step by step, step by step.
No, do it step by step.
All I read, we wanted to launch almost 4 or 5 years ago. It not happening. We not get playing. We ain't get playing. When our president sometimes Liberia is so petty that sometimes it hurts me. It even happened during the Georgia administration or other administrations. The president is going for a serious commitment and say, oh, the president, you charter flight, oh, they spoil it. When in other countries, they have presidential jets. It's responsible to carry the president anywhere the president wants to go. Then when your president take one plane and go somewhere because people in a criticism in the country. Bro. I mean, that's been small in our mind, seriously. That's been small in our mind. Our presidents all get plane. Our presidents supposed to get plane. Recently, Tinubu bought another plane to add it to the 3 he has already. Nigerian people were angry. They said the country, the cost of living is high. We are struggling. Then the president go buy a new plane again to add it to the 3 he has. But Liberia doesn't have a presidential plane. But when we charter one plane, we go somewhere. Hey, we say we not spoil Liberian money. Look, we need to graduate. We need to reach a point that our president can travel at his will. Anytime the president wants to travel. Let me take 3 calls and then we close, right? Yeah, let's take 3 calls. You can call any of the numbers 0770202579, 0772859161. You can call, just use 1 minute, and just comment on any of the talking points we just discussed. Let me take this one. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
this one.
Yeah, just take this one.
This was it's 077785961. The numbers for you to call this morning. 077785961. And
07702025579. Yeah, take that one.
Good morning.
Yeah, Marka, good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Thank you, I'm Levi. I'm monitoring you guys on mail. I think Marka saying your test. I like that kind of advice that you're giving to the folks from the government, especially the folks from the user body. This thing you have to be very, very careful. You always said, if you see the idea of the CDC, I don't know what to do. I'm doing science. You need information. If you use that, and please get into the coordination. So when you go to there, you're going to wait, you're going to take out the video, you're going to see the people who bring the test. And that's what I'm doing. Trust me, I mean, I know that I'm going to go saying that over my time.
Seriously.
So why does it happen? So I think you will take that over. Thanks so much.
Wonderful, thank you. The next caller, right there, 077785961. Good morning. You are live.
Good morning, Marka, and good morning to your co-host.
Good morning.
I'm Abraham Dancer calling from Physical via Zone 5.
Okay.
My man, the advice you give Marka is for both opposition and imposition, and we in no position.
Okay, opposition, imposition, no position.
Anybody who will not accept it, then in fact, you're not in position, you're not opposition. Let the thing get the show for you, put it on for it become lie.
Okay.
That is just the truth. I got nothing else to say.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
The last caller. Go ahead.
One, yes.
Hey, walk away for your monitor, please. Hey. Good morning.
Yes.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, go ahead. No time.
Yeah. Okay, I'm Gibson calling from Olivia. Yeah, all those things you're saying that is correct. But the person I blame in the whole thing is the Kula Fofana. I don't know what she's posting. Let her wait for the people when they come. They can explain to the library people what they did. They got information minister. I listened to school yesterday or posting. I don't know what she's posting for. She's a Secretary General. Let her wait for the information minister to come and deliver to the people. Explain what is happening, what went on.
Okay. All right.
This thing will wear not correct to be posting like that. It's not even know the importance of posting. Thank you.
All right, my brother. Now you know.
I know that woman is a professional woman. She knows what she's doing. However, we are only letting them know that they should not build too much unnecessary expectations in the Liberian people. When you know some of these agreements are at the initial stages, so they are not reached any point where you can be very sure of such investment coming. So let's manage the information and ensure that the people manage their expectations. Well, folks, thanks ever so much. ANSU, any final word?
That's it. I think you said it all. And again, the response of our government, the expectation of the people is very high. Let's continue our engagement out there. As I said, I actually believe that our regular engagement out there maybe the next 2 years from now, 2025, 2026, then we'll then start to experience some of those engagement out there, what I will come fruitful. But let's wait. Let's hold on to the time. It's so weird. Managing the communication is another thing. By God, so we do expect those that are from now the ruling in the party or those that are in government to manage communication. The rightful authority should be the one to come out and put out communication to the people. Thank you so much again for having me on. Yeah, and happy pre-birthday.
Thank you so much. And again, let me remind you, y'all send money on to this number. I want to do something. The number is 0886 40 50 17.
I want to do something.
Yeah, 0886 40 50 17. I want to do something. Y'all please send me money. I want to do something, and I will show it to you. I will see it. It's good for the Liberian people. They money they beat me when I come into work to read the news, bro. And that easy. Y'all do something.
You are still negotiating, so you want to talk again.
Y'all do something.
Yeah.
Even if the number one get you out, you can still use 0555 144 664. Like Marka Davis. Only rather on the other one. Y'all do something. All the SIM cards are in my possession. I wanna be scared. Yes, y'all do something. Okay, thanks ever so much. Tomorrow morning, Onu and I will be here. Tomorrow is my birthday. I will be 30 something tomorrow. I'm going to my 40 anyway, but I'll be 30 something tomorrow. Thanks for following. Thanks to our guests who came this morning for the Liberian National Bar Association. Thanks to ANSU who sat with us this morning, as well as young man Henry Jala, who has been behind the cameras. We hope to be here tomorrow again with another fascinating edition of the TBS. Do have yourself a wonderful, wonderful Monday. Bye-bye.